Hello, my name is Eric Zussman, and I am a research director at the Integrated Sustainability Center here at IGES. And I'm very happy today to introduce you to our focal session on accelerating implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and putting those SDGs on the ground. I think one of the key things that we're going to emphasize in this session is really that we haven't made enough progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals that were set to define a new agenda, a new development agenda from 2015 to 2030. In fact, if you look at some studies these days, they suggest that while we're supposed to achieve these goals by 2030, actually the projections suggest that they might only be achievable by 2060 or 2070. So how do we speed things up, and how do we make sure that we're actually achieving outcomes on the ground? Well, in this session, in this focal area, we're going to have 3 sessions that aim to provide insights into that critical question. The first session is really going to focus on this concept of converting leftover farmland into areas that can be used for solar energy, and to promote this concept of a circulating ecological sphere. Now, one of the key things that's going to be stressed in this session is that when we work on, for instance, the climate change SDG by promoting solar energy, we can also do things that are good for biodiversity, for land use, some of the SDGs that are covered, or some of the themes that are covered under SDG 15. So there are strong synergies that can potentially be exploited, especially in this case at the local level and in Japan. Now, from that session, we're also going to go to a second session, which looks a little bit more at this idea of synergies and also some possible trade-offs in cities, and synergies and trade-offs between climate change and a broad range of other SDGs in urban contexts. And so in that session, you'll have presentations on what these synergies and trade-offs look like across the world, actually. I mean, you'll hear from experts from Los Angeles, California, all the way to Mexico City, all the way to Bhutan. And so that session will give us sort of a subnational view of what these synergies and trade-offs look like. And once again, this is a way that we can accelerate the implementation of the SDGs. And that leads me to the third session. And the third session will highlight some of the key findings from a high-level workshop that IGES and partners from the United Nations coordinated earlier this year. And that workshop focused once again on SDGs and climate change synergies, with a very strong emphasis on linkages between climate and biodiversity. And this session will highlight some of the findings from that high-level workshop, and also pay a lot of attention to climate change adaptation and disaster risk and recovery, as well as some of the themes covered under SDG 12 on sustainable consumption and production, or what we sometimes now call the circular economy. Now, one of the things I want to stress is that these 3 sessions, while they do cover slightly different themes, they also are themselves interrelated. In fact, if you look at the first session, which focused very much at the local level within Japan, and then you look at the second session, which comes back up to the sort of city level, and in some cases even touches upon the national level, and then you look at the third session, which focuses very much at the global level. There's also opportunities to integrate not only across the different SDGs and the themes that are covered under these SDGs, but also across sort of these levels of analysis, or where the levels of action are taking place. Further, if you want to take a look at it in this perspective, we can also say that there's opportunities to link some of the local societal actions in the first session to some of the policies and institutions that will be featured in the second session, to some of the new science and sort of the new research that's coming out on synergies and trade-offs that'll be highlighted in the third session. And so there's strong linkages perhaps between society, policy, and science. And so we're also trying to strengthen that science, policy, society interface by looking at all of these sessions as sort of a package. So I'm happy to welcome you to enjoy these different sessions, but I also want you to think about not only the interlinkages that run through them, but the interlinkages between them. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you to accelerate progress on the SDGs and, quote unquote, put SDGs on the ground.